What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of She Collects Cards. Today, we have an amazing episode ahead. I am so stoked for this one. We've been kind of going back and forth, hoping to catch him whenever he was free, and he's finally free. Thank goodness. He really paved the way for me, personally, to introduce him in my F1 collecting journey. I think, especially around my Landon Norris obsession. But you can hear more from him directly. So let's bring him in. We have Chad here on Instagram. He is Lord Gunther. I'll put his Instagram handle down below. But what's up, Chad?
Hey, what's going on, Hannah? Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks so much for joining. I know it's a little bit early over there in Hawaii.
Hey, it's the price of paradise, right? To be off the people, just not in the island, right? So it's cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm really sad we weren't able to meet up when I was there, but really glad to have you on board here on our stream. Yeah, I mean, just maybe really quickly for those who are listening and watching this who don't know you yet, maybe give a quick intro or background of yourself and your card collecting journey.
Yeah, I mean, I started collecting cards back probably like early 2019.
Mm,
Came right back into it. Kind of went. Well, I've been in and out. 2018 when Shohei came back into to the mix. Then kind of
nice.
bought a couple of boxes, ripped some. I was like, didn't hit anything. So I was like, okay, cool. That was fun. Came back in 2019 um with some of the Zion stuff and whatnot. Had some fun. Had a lot of fun. Could find wax. Could find go. You could go to Target and Walmart and find what you wanted. You could go online and find what you wanted. And then boom, it blew up, and then it just got ridiculous. So I mean, I went from basketball. I love my Bowman first, baseball. And then at the same time, I was like joking around. There's all this talk about goats and everything, and I was like, oh well, let's check out what we got out there, right? And then I was like watching Drive to Survive at that time. I'm like,
Nice.
whoa, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, you're talking, that's the dichotomy of some of us getting into F1 is Drive to Survive, and I mean, growing up, I heard of Michael Schumacher for sure. I mean, I used to watch ESPN all the time. You hear Michael Schumacher,
Right.
uh, Juan Pablo Montoya, Andretti every once in a while, but it wasn't Formula One wasn't like a huge thing. But so I just started watching Drive to Survive. You start loving what that show brought to the table,
For sure.
and whoa, wait, what is there cards out? And then you start looking at it, and you're like, oh, I got in kind of at the time when Dynasty had just released, and the prices were like, whoa. I was like, I think it was like 900 bucks a box already, and I was, holy crap. I mean, just for one card. Um, so then I was like, okay, what's coming up next, right? And Chrome was coming up, and we're like, well, pre-orders have been done for a while, and then let's see if we can get some boxes of
Yeah.
that, right? And it so happened I got like one or two boxes. Um, just died waiting for them, pushback after pushback of like, hey, are you texting the getting it from like is it coming out? Like it's supposed to be out today.
I know.
Um, and eventually finally getting the email, yeah, the thing shipped out. You're gonna get it in a few days, and you start watching breakers online, and you're like, holy crap, this thing
Yeah.
looks cool. And that's pretty much my journey through to begin this
Yeah.
F1 card collecting thing, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
then
The
not to
rest
say,
is history.
I mean, my IG screen name is Lord Gunther's House of F1 because when I was watching Drive to Survive, like Gunther Steiner is probably one of the most interesting characters on there, and it's like he's like one of those old time guys that's just like like pseudo happy about life, but pseudo angry about like why is this guy
Exactly.
this, right? Like oh god, like so I always thought it was funny, and then on the Discord, I mean, there's a couple emojis that we always use, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I love Gunther. So I don't know if I sparked a little run on Gunther's because after I was like, oh, Gunther Steiner, that's my PC. Boom, couldn't find any cards. I mean, and that I had cards of Gunther. So
I mean, Gunther has some like really, really like intense fan base. I mean, like, I took this like F1, like who would you be if you were in the Formula One like space? And I got Gunther. Like that's who I would be, which was interesting. But yeah, he's definitely loved
yeah,
in space. Um, but and for those of you who don't know, Gunther is not a racer. He's one of the principals for Haas, which has gone through so much in the last few years. But I mean, yeah, I absolutely, thanks for sharing. I think Drive to Survive and Netflix just in general has so much influence in our lives right now. Like right now, right? Like everyone is talking about Squid Games, and it's just sensational how much influence these shows can have on sort of like everything, like at every
yeah.
level. That's what we talk about. That's what we buy. That's what we do. So it's really cool to see that. Yeah, so maybe just really quickly, like, so you shared with us like how you got into it, and I think your timing was impeccable in a sense. Like you essentially joined before the boom happened. I was chatting with someone recently, and they were just ripping through boxes at $150 a box. Purely like not because they saw like something in it. They're like, I love F1 and I just want to like chase Hamiltons and Maxes and Landos of the world. And at 150, comparatively to like basketball, baseball, football, it's pennies, right? At least, like you have to pay at least like $1,500 to pull one Zion base from a Prism hobby. So it seemed much more sort of easier to enter in, which is really cool. But yeah, like let's talk. Like that time is behind us, but like what have you been kind of chasing or collecting since then, and focusing down on your collection?
Well, I mean, it was fun back then, right? When we were ripping boxes. I mean, I wish I could have got boxes at $150, and I would have ripped every. I mean, I told a friend at one point when boxes were like $600, like any box under $500, I buy it all day long. It's just that good of a rip, right? I mean, so at that time, you start buying, at that time it's like you didn't know what to buy. You're like, okay, well, I personally like I would love to chase Hamilton, but Hamiltons are super expensive
Even
regardless,
back then,
right?
right?
Right. I mean, even Max Verstappen, who's like the number 2 racer right now. I mean, I would say number 1B, right? Because he has a chance of winning the championship. But he was actually pretty cheap at the time too, right? I mean, comparatively. So everybody opens those boxes, ripping Hamiltons, and we're all here trying to pick up the pieces, whatever we can get. I personally at the time was like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna collect Lando. I mean, he was within my range of what I could collect. I like the kid. He has I like his personality. I mean, everybody has their pros and cons to people, but I, I like the underdog. And
Yeah.
everybody was like Leclerc. I mean, you look at the list of who people thought were the top tier drivers, and I was like, I fell in love with Pierre Gasly and Lando Norris. That's second sub tier, right? So as we go through this journey, right, and we get to the point where we are now, like I picked up a ton of great cards early,
Hmm.
and that's majority of my collection is early stuff within the first like month of this
Yeah.
release, right? And I'm just trying to cherry pick stuff as I can because there's so much coming out at a time that you're like, well, I'd love to have that, but I can't afford both of these, so let's pick one.
Hmm.
And we get to the point we are now where we saw the first initial correction, which was like ridiculous when you think about the prices that we saw during that collection. I think Hamilton PSA 9, PSA 8, driver for like $500, like.
Yeah.
And now we're at like the point where a base or sorry, a purple Hamilton is back up to like $1,300. I'm like, are
It
you?
is.
So right now for me, and the way the market's been, it's like you really don't have a lot to choose from. I mean, you look at the listings every day on eBay, and it's like you're like, is there only like 20 listings today or something?
Yeah.
And they're never good listings, right? Because a lot of the good stuff has already been picked up by some of the bigger collectors. So it's almost like you start changing your mentality of how you're collecting this, right? And it's almost like basketball, where you're like, if I can't afford a 2018 Luka, well, I'll
Yeah.
get a second year Luka, the best
Right.
second, right? But in this set, there's no second year, so you start looking at, well, there's all these other cars that are out there, like the high number drivers, right?
Mhm.
The more action shots of the drivers, and you got Hamilton with his thumbs up, or you got Verstappen putting his helmet on. But you also got other stuff like drivers of the days. You got some great photos in drivers of the days. I mean, the best probably picture in there is Sebastian Vettel on top of his Ferrari, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, stuff like that. And then even just cars. I got
Mm.
lucky with some good car cards early on, and nobody likes those for some reason.
Yeah, I'm genuinely shocked by that because it's truly like an art piece in my opinion. Like you could have that kind of in a like a frame and frame that up. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, honestly, if you talk to anybody that knows F1, and if you even watch Drive to Survive or whatever, you get the feeling, right,
Mhm.
that the car is almost 80 to 90% the whole thing, right? If your car sucks,
It doesn't
no
matter
matter how
who's in
good
it.
you are, I mean, you're gonna need a stroke of like amazing miracle luck, or something to happen for you to even finish in the top 10. I mean, so
That-
cars are huge. Definitely, I think underrated, but at the same time, some of the stuff I've been picking up is like, if I see a good numbered car card, cool, right? I mean, if it's the guy, hey, even if it's a guy that I don't collect, but I really like think there's value in, like, hey, if I see a Verstappen that's to to 50, and it's like $50. Okay,
yeah.
that's great. I can deal with that instead of
Right.
paying like, or like trying to get a Hamilton, where I would have to save 200 of those cards
Right.
to go buy that one Hamilton. That's like to the to 399 or something like that, and that's still low numbered. But you're like, wow, I don't even got, I can't even spend that kind of cash now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. I mean, you start thinking of different ways to like collect, and I mean, I think it was one of your other podcasts or whatever that we were talking. I think we kind of talked afterwards. It's like, F1 collectors, we are hoarders. We
Hundred
are
percent.
absolutely hoarders. I mean, and rightfully so. There's only like literally one general set for the public, right? In this,
Right.
I mean, Chrome is just that one general set. And when you got 20, I would say like 20 or 50
Yeah.
decent like listings that are like on the lower end of the spectrum,
Hmm.
um whatever good cards come out, they just gone, right?
It's crazy. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like supply is low. I mean, like Tops probably didn't go all in into F1. This is their first year producing it. They kind of wanted to test out the water for it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, historically, NASCAR hasn't done so hot. So, you know, they probably didn't think F1 was going to blow up like this. So they produced a very limited amount. And that's a very, I think, likely hypothesis. And then you have all these die hard. I would look at F1 collectors right now, F1 sports card collectors, similar to like the soccer card collectors, who are just like, no, I love the sport first and then the cards. And so they don't have like any incentive or desire to flip the cards in a sense. I mean, maybe they will sell the lower ends a little bit, but anything like decent or above, like they're like, no, like this is mine forever until I actually have to let go of it. So and I think another point that we talked about before on Discord, chat is like there is like some big pockets, like deep pockets in F1 collecting. And yes, like obviously there are tons of high-end collectors in basketball, baseball, football, soccer too. But in general, if I was to take an average, say, like cash flow or average discretionary income of F1 collector and compare that to other sports, I actually think it's higher than most, which is crazy. And I think that's something that the general sports car market doesn't understand, that F1 outside of America is a very popular sport and very popular among the richest, right? What's your
Yes.
take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think exactly. I mean, you look at that one rip that they had where it was like 50 boxes of dinosaurs,
Steven did that, yeah.
right? And you start just, I mean, and he said, "Well, I ripped 50 the day before." So you're looking almost like at that time probably, I don't know, 200 grand to maybe
Yeah,
like
200K, yeah, ish.
of cards, and you start thinking about it, and you're like, "Wow, if this guy wanted any card, it's his, right?"
Mhm.
I got a funny story because I traded a car at the beginning of all of this. I traded with Noel from Pioneer Sports, and I gave him. We had a. I think I got a track tag back, and he took one of my Hamiltons and some other stuff along the way. That Hamilton ends up in like Evan Longoria's hands because he traded Evan Longoria that he had met at a sports car show in like San Fran, right?
Okay.
Hamilton for he's collecting the 70th Sapphire series, the blacks per se,
Mhm.
and I guess Evan Longoria had like uh a Danny Ricardo, and he traded him the base Hamilton for that Daniel Ricardo, right? So now my card, I would say maybe that's my street cred, right? I got a card that Evan Longoria might still have, right? I don't know. I don't know if that happens or not, but you're talking like Evan Longoria, like I mean the guy just destroyed my Dodgers like the other day, right? I mean, but at the same time, he's collecting Lewis Hamilton. So what kind of chance do we stand as like a normal human being, right? 9 to 5er, if he wants that red Lewis Hamilton,
Hamilton, yeah,
right? I
you'll
mean,
get it.
so that's just within the states, just as casually, right? But when you're talking, this thing is global, right?
Mhm.
Um, I mean, they race 22 races across the globe, right? And they sell these things out at every
Mhm.
location they went. Now, be it that COVID is here, now maybe that's not happening as much, but the TV viewership is almost like a Super Bowl for every race. So
Which
you're
is
talking
insane.
a Super Bowl of every race, and like you said, a lot of these fans are. I wouldn't say. I think they're pretty well mixed, but there are a lot of fans that are at the top that just have a ridiculous amount of.
Unlimited cash flow. And
Right.
for those of you who don't know, like at every F1 race, and granted, like most of these races are some of the most exotic places in the world. That doesn't happen like in Cincinnati, Ohio, or nothing against Cincinnati, Ohio, but like this is happening in like the coolest cities of the world. I mean, they do races where the money is, and some of the ticket prices for these seats, it's ridiculous. Like let's just say that. And you not only see like these like like oil families in there, but like you see like other athletes, other like goats in a sense. Like Serena Williams is a big fan of F1, like so her and her husband are always there. Like I mean, name any top players in other sports. They respect this sport like more than anyone else, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think if you are not familiar with like the racing sport, you can just kind of take it as like, oh, you're just like racing each other and trying to beat each other. Yes, but like there's so much behind the scene components that dictate whether you're going to win a race or not. I mean, there's things that are controllable, there's things that are not controllable, but that like excitement from the uncontrollable variables is insane. Like rain, tire, I mean, name it all, right? Like it just keeps you in your toes, and like it's one of the most exciting and like adrenaline rushing, I think, sporting event in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think from sort of a collector base, I mean, that's how I think soccer got to where it did today. It is where it is today in terms of like sports card collectability. Is that you already had fans who were just die hard into their teams in soccer, right? Whether it's in the European League or in Italy, wherever it was, they were just huge soccer fans to begin with, and then they got into this. Oh, there is a way to actually collect your favorite player, your favorite team. And then once you make that kind of transition, it's game over. Like there's no way that this market is going to go away. It's only going to grow because this fan base, they're just going to crave after something to own of their favorite player or team. And I think F1 is similar, right? Like most of us, right, started with the love of F1, whether through the Netflix series or even before with Mike Schumacher and whatnot. There's tons of other movies also that are amazing, by the way. But yeah, like we start as F1 fans first and then get into this card collecting, which makes it so hard for us to unload any card that we own, which by virtue, you're controlling the supply, and prices keep going up because every card that comes about, it's just beating the price of the one before because there's just none out there, right? Like one big example is like we can't find autos of Hamilton, Max, and Lando. Like we can't, right? We can't. You can strangle someone, like so. Like it's just impossible. Like I message people, after seeing what kind of card they have, how much, like, is it for sale? Like, I really want it. It doesn't matter. Like I really appreciate the message, but like they're not gonna move it. And guess what? I'm the same way too, right? I'm not moving it, and you're the same way too. You're not moving it. It's like we would be stupid if we moved it, right? So
right. I mean, it's like, okay, so like as I'm going through this process, right? I can't find cards, right? So I'm like, okay, well, we joke around on the Discord, right? Oh, I'm gonna go look at Star Wars Galaxy cards, right? I mean, but it's interesting, right? The interesting thing about that is Star Wars Galaxy. You think, oh well, these are chrome cards. They're beautiful. I mean, I got like one right here. I mean, these things are sweet, right? But like again, you love it as a fan first, right? You love it as a fan first, and then hey, you find out, oh great, you can get these sweet cards. But what happens, right? The people that are opening up Star Wars Galaxy, are they like flippers? Are they like people that are just tourists into it? Are they just like, oh, I can make a crap ton of this Star Wars Galaxy? Probably hell no, right? Because you're picking up boxes at the beginning at $100, and I'm like, wow, this is the cheapest, most fun rip that I've had in like probably 2 years or something like that, right? And then you start realizing as the prices go up on these cards, it's not because or the supply goes down on these cards. It's not because people are flipping them or getting rich off of them. They're going because people that are opening these boxes are keeping the damn cards. Like they're not here to buy. They're not here to flip these cards and make money off them. They're here to like, I love Star Wars, and I'm gonna put this complete set of refractors, or I'm gonna put this complete set of whatever I can do, right? And then there's people like me that screw it all up because I pick up one of the 1 of 10s, and now only 9 people in the world can finish the set. Well, I don't mean it that way because I absolutely like love it, and I mean I've been probably as deep into that as I am trying to find autos for anything. But like you said, this is a different group of people that you're dealing with, and on top of that, you're dealing with a different amount of supply. So I know we talked at the beginning, like you can see a correction coming, but what would drive the correction? And it's very interesting because of the fact that if there was a ton of supply to come onto the market, I look at it like Hawaii real estate, right? If Hawaii real estate was to like just tank, there would be a crap ton of rich people just buying it all up. So it would dip, but it would just never dip really that bad because of the fact that it's premium in a market which the supply is so limited that I mean that's what you're getting here, right? I mean, hoarders like me that I literally like was going through my cards and thinking to myself, okay, well, let's just hypothetically say I could only keep 25 of these. What? 25 would I keep, right? And I would be like, I'd have to keep them all. Sorry, I can't buy them. I would sell. Like I've been literally like going through the process of like I could care less about any Zion card that I have. I mean, I'm where I could care less about some of my Lucas. Screw those. I'm getting rid of those. I'm gonna use that money and get ready for that one big like F1 card that will come up on the market. And maybe that sounds super crazy, but at the same time, it's like that's the reality of it. Is
exactly.
Know?
100%. And you really like we're like on the same boat here because I really want a correction to come so I can buy those George Russells at a decent price. Like what, guys? Like George Russell now is more expensive than like Lando. And like I want a correction so I can buy a decent Hamilton like auto or something. Like it's but I know that like you mentioned, even if by whatever it is driven by, like if it happens, like we're still not gonna see a ton of them out there. And
Yeah,
especially it's not gonna be out on eBay. I'll tell you that. Um
yeah,
and
yeah,
like personal story 100% like with you like willing to let go of any of your Zions or Lucas. Like I was at a show and I saw this amazing car, Chad. Like it was a Hamilton auto, and I literally just went to the guys like, do you want anything in my in my case? And I gave up a ton of basketball for it. And now a lot of my basketball friends just didn't understand that rational, right? It was Curry rookies, it was LeBron rookies. They were like, "You're insane." But I mean, I've had those cards for over a year now, and so I've had my fair share with them. But they're like, you're crazy." But I was like, "No, like guys, like you don't understand. Next time I see this card, I can't even trade for it, you know? So I knew this was an opportunity and I went for it, and I'm so glad because I'm seeing these Hamilton auto prices, or at least privately, that are being sold, and it's ridiculous. It's like one of those things. So I remember last year, when I was trying to get a LeBron black refractor, which was kind of like I wanted to like complete some kind of like a LeBron Topps Chrome set, and last sold was, let's say, like 70K for it. I talked to all these people, and you can't find it, first of all, even if you want it. So people connect you to like their friend or someone that they met who has one, and I reach out to them super friendly, like, "Hey, what's up? Like, my name is whatever. Like, I really want to complete this set. Like, would you be, willing to part away with them?" They're like, "I don't care what the last comp is. I value this at 150. That's what it's going to take to move it." And that's exactly what we see in F1, right? They're like, "I don't care what it's sold on eBay for. Like, if you want this card, you like really have to convince me for it, right?" And I feel like that's the general kind of responses I get around F1 collectors. And it's like it's double edged, right? It's great because that means this is here to stay, and a lot of the money that we put in here is not gonna suddenly vanish. Like it is not a fad. But it's also bad because it limits how many like future cars that I can get out of it. So it's double edged for sure, in that
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think that's the one that's the one cool thing about this as well is to really get the cars that you really want now. You really have to be part of the community, right?
Mhm.
Really have to be able to talk to people
Yep.
and just not be like, "Yo, how much do you want for that?" No, I'll give you this. For me, like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times too, it's like the rationale that you go through, right, to be able to let something go, right? If I was to let this go for this amount of money, what would I do with that money, right?
Exactly. That's it. Like automatic thing you think about, right? Like what am I gonna get with this next,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, for sure.
right. And then if it's like, well, I would replace it with that, but that's still not enough for that, right? But if I wanted to find this back later on, like, I mean, I personally believe that there's a couple of like tiers in this, right? But like, say for instance, like you came across like a refractor, right? If you had like, a PSA 10 refractor of Hamilton, but
Gosh.
I mean, it's a great card, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to find another PSA 10 Lewis Hamilton refractor, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you had, I mean, I think people hate on them, and I don't understand why. But like the 70ths, right? The
Mhm.
70ths are unnumbered, but we all know based upon the pack odds exactly sort of what they're supposed to be,
Yep.
right? They're typically less damaged, so you can actually possibly bring back the scale back up to, like, if you're using PSA, a 10 is a 10, a 9 is a 9, and an 8 is an 8.
Mm.
Most cards that are numbered, you're talking an 8 is a 9 is a 10, and 10 is just like unattainable, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's like magic.
right. So I mean, for some of those, like if you can get a decent card in that, or a lower end card of that, but the print run is like 100 of them, regardless if it doesn't have a number or not.
Right.
I mean, eventually 100 of them are gonna disappear, and you'll never see 100 of them anymore, right?
Right.
And that's just the bottom line on some of these cards. Is, I mean, beyond. I think at one point when I was trying to pare down my cards, I just was like, anything 50 or less, aqua is what I'm keeping. That's it. Everything else, like, let it go. You know, you have to let something go back into the market, right? I mean, you can't keep them all. And by us letting some of that go, it allows people on the lower, like, I wouldn't say lower end, but it allows more entry into
general, right?
And that's the one thing that I think as collectors we also have to believe in too, is you have to let people enter the market.
Exactly.
That's the one thing that maybe I think in terms of this release and in terms of what could tank the market is there's not enough people coming into the market. That's the only thing. People get afraid because they just see it's like Bitcoin.
Right.
You know, you talk to anybody about Bitcoin, you're like, well, I can't afford 50,000.
It's too expensive now, right? Yeah.
But you can buy like this like sliver of it and you'll be okay, right? But people don't understand that it's overwhelming, and that might be one of the factors that we look into down the road, being like, well, even though supply and demand, the supply killed it. The supply killed the demand.
I do think the 2021 release will help with that a little bit. I mean, it's second year set. Most of them repeat racers, right? Repeat drivers. So I'm hoping that the 2021 Topps Chrome, and they're also doing the Topps paper on that, can help with that kind of like, hey, if you want an entry into the market, but you don't want to spend 5-digit, 4-digit on a raw card, they can get like a out of 50 gold second year max or something like that. It's still going to be beautiful. I mean, like when we look at it, Jordan's, LeBron's, Kobe's, like second year still do really, really well. Obviously, like it'll create that gap even more, I think, between like consider like first year release, rookie, like kind of like the 2012 Prisms in basketball. It'll definitely separate that gap even more. But I do think that hopefully, with like the affordability, factor in the 2021 set, it will help with that kind of like new people coming in. But you're absolutely right, though. Like I think as like a community, I mean, I think I consider this F1 community really small and tight knit. Actually, like everybody knows each other. Everybody knows what card, went to who at least, and people are like doing numbers. Like, okay, like I counted for like 14 out of the 25 orange Landers. I'm like, why are you like keeping track of where all the cards are? But they just like get a kick out of it, I guess. But I mean, it's super tight knit, and I do think that as a community, we can do a better job of like kind of being advocate for this, sport, this sport, and also F1 cards. Kind of like not being like not being too snobby about it, I guess, like is what I'm trying to get to, like, but like really like educate other people like why this sport is so cool, and like why they should go watch Drive to Survive, and get other people into it, because it's so much fun. But to keep it within like, I don't know, this like what I would consider less than 1,000 people or community, it's just like too good for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I try to convince, like, fantasy football is on right now, right? Okay, great. Right. Well, how come you have that? Well, because I'm watching F1 on Sunday, right? What F1, right? The Drive to Survive thing, right? I mean, by nature, I'm a nerd, right? I'm an engineer, but I love sports. I've always been in sports ever since I was a little kid, right? So I love sports. But then you get to marrying sports and technology together with F1, right? I mean, I tweak out on like, I mean, I don't know, like I'm an electrical engineer, so I don't know all the aerodynamics and all the other stuff. I know the power system stuff.
Yeah.
Over there tweaking out like, wow, blah, 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 or like you said, there's so many facets of this sport that are just beyond cards, right?
Exactly.
And I think as a general community, I think in the United States, we don't look into that kind of stuff. It's just like I would rather watch basketball or whatever, but I'm watching it, I'm like tweaking out, I'm like, oh, the strategy in this, damn, why out? Oh no, right? Oh crap, my card could have gone strategy
too. I think F1 is the most strategic thing. Like it involves like not just the players on the floor or like the staffing coaches of like coach, assistant coach, or whatever, but it's like work of like hundreds of people behind the scene doing charts and graphs, forecasting like the entire race. And this is not by like, oh, he's gonna do better by a second. No, he's gonna do better by 0.1 second and he will win the race, right? Like it's we're not like it's insane. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's just crazy when you talk about like some of the race wins. They can, you know, by tenths of a second or hundredths of a second. If you're talking like, you know, inches, millimeters, meters,
Yeah,
centimeters, what you think about it as, right? And you're just like, wow, that's ridiculous. And yeah, like you said, it's like it's winning world championships for these drivers, but for these teams, it's bringing home money for their workers, right? It's bringing home for the champ. I mean, I think it was last race that they were talking about. I don't think I think it was Crofty or somebody was talking about on the broadcast was Valtteri is gonna do good because he wants to bring home that money for his guys that have been supporting him at the
right,
factory. The
right.
the constructors championship is important to those people, right? Because that's
Mhm,
when they right.
mhm.
So yeah, very much so that the people back at Mercedes are probably like, bring it home, Valtteri, bring it
Exactly.
home. Like, I mean, so it's interesting, and as I come across different collectors, as I sell certain things off, I come across them and I'll be like, hey, you should check out F1. If you really like something different, really like something cool, check out F1. Oh,
Yeah,
well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you know, okay, it's like soccer, but you know, you're talking like way less people. I mean, and for me,
right.
it's, I can be like, I tried to get back. I tried to get into soccer. I like soccer. I genuinely like watching soccer, and
Mhm.
I love World Cups, and I love the Olympics and all that fun stuff. And but I don't watch Premier League. I don't watch La
Mhm.
Liga. I don't watch any of those, right? But you know the guys, right? But when you
Right.
talking soccer, there's hundreds of people,
Hundreds,
right?
thousands,
Thousands,
thousands.
right?
Right,
Hundred. I mean, the top 2% is probably like 100 people, right?
right.
But then you start looking at F1, and you're like 20 guys. Okay, well, if
That's
you
all you gotta know. Right.
yeah, count the teams, okay, 30 guys, right? And if you want to cheer for certain principles, like I'm waiting for Zach Brown to get me some get a card. I want a Zach
Yeah.
Brown. Like I like the guy. I'm like what's funny is as this journey comes along, I am now a McLaren fan, right? I
Right.
am a McLaren fan, right? But you have people like you said in this collecting or just in F1 that haven't even collected before, that
Mhm.
have been
Yeah.
Ferrari people from the 60s, right?
Right. Yep.
I mean, you're like, holy crap, if that guy figures out that there's cards that he can actually have,
He's
and
giving it all.
yeah,
He's gonna go get everything. Like,
right.
nothing will stop him.
Yeah, right. I know. I think it was on another one of your podcasts where we're talking about vintage, right? I mean, like, there's a lot of us that like don't know as much about the vintage market, even though we collect F1 cards. Like, I mean, I've
Mhm.
been having fun with DBK sports cards, and he sold me a bunch of like a Senna sticker here and some calendars, and I'm like, dude, this is super cool. I've been picking up, and then some Mika Hakkonens and some other stuff, right? I mean, you start looking at the other guys. There's other guys out there. Yeah, maybe they're not as the cards are as cool
Right.
or whatnot,
Right.
but there are something to collect, and that's where as we transcend in our journey, right?
Yep.
That we can pick up things that we like. Oh, that's super cool. I mean, I think off of one of the discords I picked up like Senna's first race win, like 3-day ticket. I was like, that's super cool. So that's
That is
Senna's
so cool.
that's his first race win, the ticket
That's
for.
so cool.
So there's
Yeah.
stuff like that that's out there, and there's definitely collectors that are just collecting that, and then maybe want to get cards later on, and then that's
Mhm.
where the different exchanges can happen. But again,
Right.
it's part of this network that we're building, right? And if the network is too small, then we get problems. Or you get problems when the network is too big, like in basketball, the network is too
Basketball, right? Yeah.
big, right? And then you can kind of see where Panini went, where it's like, well, to make sure that
Over.
everybody on, let's just overprint it, and then now we got 87 different parallels for select, which is like a shame, but whatever's. Um,
Oh my
but
goodness.
But you know, when you talk about like the LeBron, right? The LeBron rookie year LeBron. I mean, you got Topps Chrome, you got Bowman, you got all these other. But for F1, you just got Chrome. You just got
That's
Chrome,
it.
or you can
Or
use
Dynasty.
treasures of F1, which is Dynasty, right? But that's it.
Right.
That's it. I mean, and you talk about like autographs, right? I mean, I think Topps is messing with us. I think absolutely Topps is just screwing with us. Like, I mean, there are no gold Hamiltons, there are no gold Kimmies.
Yeah.
Oh, we got autographless Vettos and Albons.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
Right. I mean, there's just cards missing. We haven't seen superfractors for the track tags, and then
No.
I think it was Jukesta. He had posted that, I guess somebody had posted on Instagram that like Topps finally said, "Oh, we didn't put in Giovanni Reina autographs in Merlin or something like that." Or was it Panini? I don't know. And you
I
start
mean,
looking.
those are forgivable at $150 a box, but it's not forgivable at $2,000 a box. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, can you imagine now? Can you imagine if we're gonna send out 50 of these Hamiltons, which probably are worth like 18 to 20,000. Oh well, you know, it'd be a gold, right? So that probably be like 30 grand, right? We're just
Right.
gonna send people like golden tickets to the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing here. Oh, have a gold one. Oh, by the way, you didn't buy it at pre-release, so only the guys that knew about it. So luckily, the people that bought at $150 a box benefit, right? But
Exactly.
right, so
So insane. So insane. And like kind of going back to like your point of like how much potential F1 still has. Like one thing that I think about is F1, even though they individually are, representing their own team, so like Mercedes, Red Bull, Williams, AlphaTauri, whatever, the players actually have to commit to a country as well. So they represent their own country, right? So like Albon chose Thailand over UK. Hamilton obviously representing the UK, like things like that. So we know that fan base, like for example, like the French love Gasly. Like there's no question about it. Like any Gasly fan, I feel like they're all French. Like they just like absolutely worship him. Or like Ricardo, like the Aussies, like they just go ballistic over him. So I think there's another factor of that where like the national kind of pride comes into play, and you just kind of end up supporting that one or two player or drivers in the Formula One that represent your country. And so it doesn't matter if he's like P15 all the way, like Giovinazzi, like Italians, like they will go crazy over him no matter what. Like they will support him no matter what. So I
yeah,
think there's that factor too that is a little bit different from some of the major sports like NFL or NBA in that sense. Or I guess like even the NBA, like you see like Yao Ming card still doing well over 2-3K for his PSA 10 rookie card, which is insane. It's always going to be maxed out and bought out by the Asian community, I think, from that perspective. But I really do think that there's some potential for growth as well as like continued kind of attraction into the F1 card market. But Chad, like I do want to ask you maybe as one of the last parting questions here, like what is your like if you had like what is your holy grail, like unlimited budget?
well, I mean, honestly, unlimited budget. I mean, there are cards that I want to get, right? Just to get them. Like I would love, like you said, I would love to get a Hamilton,
Mhm.
right? I'd love to get a Hamilton any autograph, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you talk. We probably I should have bought one like at the beginning, right? Stupidly, or even during the dip, and I was like, well, oh man, where's this
Instead
going?
of buying all your Landos at that point.
Oh, I was like so stoked, right? I got like all these, I got all these Landos, and like I could have bought like one Hamilton. No, I mean, if I could, I would selectively buy a couple of the goats, right? I mean, I would selectively buy like a Lewis Hamilton, um, and then because I'm a Lando guy, I mean, I would love. I mean, I got two of the superfractors in the 70th.
Wow, dude.
Oh, right. I would love to get the other two, his freshest and his 70th. But sometimes you gotta sacrifice, and that's maybe that. happen, because eventually that's just ridiculous to
I
think.
think you have the right cards for a potential like trade deal part for me.
Yeah, I think eventually I might be able to do it, but then like again, it's tough because with Hamilton, he's a 7-time world champion. I mean, you got guys like that. That's crazy. That are so undervalued. Like Vettel, Vettel cards are like super. And
Three-time champion, four-time champion.
he's a 4-time champion. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you got Kimi Räikkönen, who's got one, right?
Yeah.
And then you
Huge
got
families.
yeah. So I mean, you're talking like people that are like super undervalued versus like me. Like I think sometimes I feel stupid, right? Because I'm like Bowman first chasing, right? I'm like chasing the and the prospects, right? And right in front of your face, there's the greats, right? Or in a way to in their own right, legends, right? And then we're all chasing Max, or we're chasing Lando, who have never won one yet. I mean, Lando hasn't even won a race. I was like hoping that he won that race, but he didn't
I
win.
know.
Now I'm backing up the box of he's never won a race. It's like trying to get Phil Mickelson when he's never won a major, right?
He'll get there. He'll get
Yeah,
there.
he'll eventually. Hopefully, he'll get there. I mean, definitely. There's some luck to it, some right place at the right time stuff going on. But like, at the end of the day, like I feel like for me personally, there's like a one or two like major cards that I could get. That I would like my Lando 4s. I would buy every Lando 4 on the planet if I could. Just
How many?
because.
Do we know how many of the? It's only gold that he signed Lando for, or is it other autos as well?
So I've been trying to track this. Like I'm the guy that's like, oh yeah, I saw your stuff. Can you just give me the number? I'm just trying to track this. I mean, it's an interesting thing statistically trying to figure out how much they are, right?
Right.
But there's definitely I haven't seen any on any gold waves yet. So the 50s
Mhm.
are out. I haven't seen any on the oranges, which the oranges are out. I've seen two reds, so the two reds don't have them. But the golds seem to have them, and they're up to. It seems like the highest number we've seen that hasn't had one is 23. So
I see. Interesting.
jokingly, like if you got a sheet of autos, right? I mean, obviously it's gotta be a
They
whole
just stuck it onto like certain.
it can't be like 21, right? So I mean, obviously whoever was doing the sticker thing was like, oh well, you got a sheet here, bang 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 bang, 21 later, right?
Right.
20 later, and then and that was it. And it's just an interesting autograph. I mean, it's in its own right within the Chrome set, and even the set. It's the only ones that he signed Lando for. I mean, no other driver did any other type of secondary inscription.
Right.
So you're looking at, those are better than an orange per se, right? Better than an orange. I would say that even on the lines of it, it's probably like better than a red.
Right. That like unique and scarcity factor plays into it way more than like perhaps the color, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm probably shot myself in the foot right there, because now they're to disappear off the planet faster than I can. Well, they're obviously like the last one sold. I was absolutely surprised. I thought maybe
7,200 or something.
7,200. I was like, wow, that is. And here I am. I passed up early on, like one or like I talked to I mean, we are a small niche group of collectors that have these, and I like we know who has them. Right, and we just kind of talk, and we're like, "Holy crap!" And to think that I passed up the opportunity. I got I think at one point I was like, I got like a purple sapphire to 10 out of 10 Lando, like that, or a Lando 4. Oh, there's got to be more of these, right? I mean, and lo and behold, I probably should have spent my money there. But
hey, but at least you have a couple.
I only got one, so I'll just be happy with that. I mean, definitely having one is really all you need at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
And whatnot. So I like, to a certain extent, my girl journey over? Kind of, sort of. I mean, I've been picking up stuff that I really love now, right? Like I picked up a Kimi red auto. That was rated.
Wait, that's color match too, right?
Yeah, it's a color match. So I was like,
Yeah,
Timmy, like
that's cool.
I love that guy. That guy, I mean, if he's the total opposite of me, he would be sitting here just being like, yeah,
Yeah. I remember like he like crashed like one of the races and he was like, F this, I'm going to my yacht and drinking my
yeah,
own
yeah.
wine.
He walked straight out to his yacht. I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, you get characters like that. So now it's more about collecting quality,
Mhm.
and maybe collecting things that you truly do enjoy. I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely truly enjoy. I mean, at one point I was just picking up stuff to pick up stuff because I knew, or I still know, that there's cards out there that I need to get, and
Mhm.
maybe the only way I get them is if I trade stuff for them,
Yeah.
and have to give up some stuff, and that's
Right.
kind of where we're at. I mean, like even like I think even unlimited money can get you some things. Like
Yeah.
I can't convince. Like if I wanted to convince somebody for a dynasty like Lando Norris flag patch. I mean unless
They won't do it.
yeah, I mean how much do you want? Like I mean, you could probably keep on running numbers on the table until they're like, well, yeah, maybe I'm not as big of a Lando fan. You gotta
And
hope for that, right? Oh, I'm not a big Lando fan, so
right.
sure, right? But some of these like but a lot of the bigger time collectors, they've it's crazy. There are some out there that look like they're completionists, right? They're
Mhm.
I'm getting all of the gold Hamiltons, or I'm
Yeah, and they're just
getting
going for that. Yeah.
every Lando of every type,
Yeah.
or so now
Personally
they're
think that like this is sidetracking, but I personally think that people who focus on a driver set, like let's say like rainbow of like Lando or like rainbow of Russell, I think that's a just like economically a better strategy than like someone who's like, I'm gonna go collect all refractors and then they get like everybody in there. I'm like, it took you that much time to do all that, but like, let's be real, like 25 out of the 30 cards is not gonna be, you know, like sort of like exponentially growing in their value. But I mean, maybe that's the thing. They don't do it for the value.
yeah,
They
yeah.
do
I
it
mean,
for the
it's crazy, right? I mean, like early on, I picked up like a gold track tags Hamilton, right?
oh
Um,
yes.
and then I had then I picked up a really cheap like Max. I wouldn't even say really cheap. I traded for the Max, so I had the top two guys, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll pick them as they come. They don't seem that popular, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, there's 50 in the set, and I'm like 12 to go, and I'm like, seriously, I can't get Valtteri Bottas, I can't get a Daniel Kvyat,
Can.
a Mick, and it's like two of the three guys like nobody wanted at the beginning. I saw somebody for
Right.
like $50. I'm like, I'll get them later. Like I got bigger fish to fry. Now just nothing, right? And it's crazy, right? So
For
and now
reference, this
yeah.
is like the track tag that
Oh
Chat's talking about.
yeah.
I pulled this. I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Is this a mis?" No, it's a gold. Like I've actually never pulled a gold
Yeah.
track tag,
Yeah.
but this is what he's talking about. It's such a cool card. It's like
Yeah.
graffiti, like so.
I think they end up being like Panini like kabooms.
Yeah,
Downtown.
yeah.
They have that feel. And who knows, right? I don't know. I didn't check the Chrome for this coming year, but I don't know if they're in an insert this year.
I don't know actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have
No,
to.
dude, like you brought up such a good point. Like kabooms were going when they first came out, it was going for $20-$30, and now they're 10-20Ks, especially
Yeah.
for like Kobe, LeBron's. It's insane.
It's insane. So stuff like that. It's crazy how certain things people will realize after, right? And I mean, for me as a collector, I'm always buying obscure stuff. So like that was cool. Like I just was looking at the pack odds. I'm like, these are hard to hit. Blah blah blah. I was gonna try to do World on Wheels because I got a Verstappen and a Max Gold, and I was like, but there's like 32 of those, and like you said, like 80% of that is all stuff that I don't want, right?
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
I don't really want that. So because I have this thing right here, right? That
Oh,
the
nice.
R super fractor. All right.
That's so you got to grade it too. That's awesome.
Yeah. So and this is like one of four PSA 10 like super fractors, right? I mean, this thing is like it's probably worth its weight in gold at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
But luckily, like one of the guys on the on the Discord kind of had a red one of the 70th, and I'm like, yo, dude, I need to have that. Just give me a price, right? I gotta have it. He wanted to sell it, so now I'm like, I'm gonna and then I bought the last the orange and the gold 70th of
Wow,
it.
so you're gonna go for the complete
So
set here.
so I mean I do have it's technically the complete 70th set of
Yeah,
right. So it's pretty cool in that sense, you know.
that
And
is
then
super cool.
as you pick up stuff that like I started a rainbow for the Red Bull 194 the pit stop card with Max in the car. Shucks, let me see if I got it here.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a kind of interesting card because it's this one right here. It's I don't know if I don't know,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
right?
dude, yeah. I think I
Yeah.
pulled up all that yesterday, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what's so funny is I was online and I just like I was at one point I was just looking for reds, and then I picked up like the red version of it, this red version of it right here.
We're showing the same card. Chad has
Yeah,
the red. I have the purple.
yeah. So I ended up like picking it up for like $50, and then
Whoa.
I was like so bored after that. I picked up the whole rainbow. So I mean, the only thing that I'm missing is like the red wave, and then
Yeah.
70th red wave and the supers, and I'm like, but I think I picked up this rainbow like literally in the background of all of this rise up into
Yeah.
cards like less than $200. I was just having fun like picking up $10 here, $5
Yeah.
there. You know, like
That's
nobody wants these things, and I was like, okay, this is a
dude,
fun.
those are sneaky plays, 100%. Like people, like it happens like this all the time, right? Like people who are like they're so focused on like the top cards that there's a lag in a sense, right? Like
Yeah,
of the other non-top three cards. This is definitely a sneaky play that has been proven and proven. And like what you're doing, I mean, I know you're not doing it to sell it, but like what you're doing is like so smart,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's great cards out there. I mean, there's still Botas and Hamilton. There's the Hamilton one sitting in his car. I really like that one, but I couldn't find like the only reason I went for those was because I had like the five, right, the red.
Mhm.
If I don't have that, then no sense really go after it because those are the two cards. Like I mean, I got the Lando 187 as Super Fractal, right? But I can like every time I find a red, I'm like, dude, that's way more than I want to pay for anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just happy with that. But luckily, I found that red 70th, and he gave me a good price on it. So I was like, yep, let's do it, done. And then at least with the 70th, it's like three cards versus being like with the whole rainbow of this thing that was like I don't know like 13 cards or something like that, and still like 4 cards to go, and I'm never gonna see those. So I'm
Yeah.
happy with what I got, but it was fun. It's a fun chase. There's still like fun to be had in this set. And you start talking like I know I got like a Leclerc, the one that he looks like all like kind of like that with sunglasses on. I mean, I know one of the guys was going for that rainbow, and that's such a cool card in its own right, right? I mean, I know there's
Mhm.
another guy going for like the sapphire rainbow of the 180 Norris with the sunglasses sipping on his little thing. So there's great cards in these sets that are still around, and I think they'll still be around, and even in the case of the arguments for basketball where you have um base card. Oh, like I mean, I personally I sold my Luca base. I mean,
Mhm.
definitely. I just think there's too much pop out there for that. I mean, there's people out there. There'll probably be enough people for that to maintain some value. But you're talking like 19,000 PSA 10s,
Yeah.
1,000 PSA 10s with a ton in the hopper left. But even for Topps Chrome F1, I would not tell somebody to not buy a
Yeah.
base, right? I
No.
mean,
For
there's
someone else, that's like an entry into the market, right?
right. I mean, and especially when you're talking about this is the first year. So, like, I mean, what people don't realize, and maybe this is kind of late in the conversation, so hopefully we didn't lose a lot of people. But the Topps Chrome base, like, this is almost like there's like 20 rookies in here. I mean, you're
Mhm.
20 rookies. This is the
Yeah.
first Chrome set for 20 guys, right? So you're
Exactly.
talking 20 rookies plus all of the F2 guys, which I mean, there's only going to be like 3 guys in there that you might even care about. But you're talking base cards can have a future in all of this down the road, and I mean, we've seen it with Russells. I think maybe Pioneer Sports was saying he picked up like 10 Russells for $10 a piece, and then unloaded them on the market when they're like $50 a piece. I was right there with him. I was like, bro, I mean, I can get these. I mean, not that I can get these all day long, but I mean, I'll take the price that they're at now, put that in my pocket, save it up. I can go buy a to $3.99 of it for free, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
But so there's value. It's just a matter of like, I think we talked about this is getting stagnant or hitting the wall, and it happens, right? It definitely happens. And luckily, there's other things to look at, or you just got to kind of step back and kind of pivot and go like, okay, well, what else can I have fun with, right? I mean, and like I said, that Red Bull set that I made, that was like fun, and I was super fun about that because I was like, wow, I didn't spend that much money. Yeah, that was like $10 here. I mean, I think the hardest one that I had a hard time like trying to like buy was the base. I didn't pull a base of it, so I'm over there like I'm sitting over there. Am I willing to pay $10 for that? Like seriously, $10 for that? Like, I mean, with the shipping and everything and the fee, like $10. Can somebody just give me one? Can I just find one, please? Like
you told me I have a bunch of those.
Right.
But
right. But it's there's fun to be had, and I definitely like I think the market, like you said, the market has it'll probably correct. I mean, it's kind of inflated right now, but then again, like when we talked, like how we talked about, like there's really no catalyst to make it. I mean, to make it kind of die down. I mean,
sure. There may be small, like kind of maybe not correction, but like a small point where we're just kind of flat once the race is over in December. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not sure.
We're talking like December races finish, right?
Yeah.
And then, and I think some people were saying that Drive to Survive was going to get pushed up to like January or February. So let's hypothetically say it gets pushed up to January. Then you really have no off season, right? You have people tweaking out for like probably 2 or 3 weeks on that, and then you got and people don't realize that they're probably gonna put broadcast like the winter testing, right? Put out testing in February and March timeframe, and you're talking like that goes straight into racing in March.
Right. Oh man, I can't imagine the speculation that we will have in like Feb, March. Like, oh my god, that car looks good, like whatever, and like people are gonna be buying them up. Yeah, no, I mean, like from events perspective, like I don't think there's a slowdown of this. Like it's similar to soccer. Like there's not really a big slowdown, or like like NBA, right? Like where like there's a summer time off or anything like that. But I mean, I just pray that there will be a point of like correction or like just flatlining so we can take a break, take a breather on, right? But I mean, hopefully, I really, really believe that with the 2021 set release, we'll see some, kind of like slower growth in like the more common cards, more like available cards. But of course, like I think the gap is just going to get wider again, like the reds, the oranges, the golds, the autos of these racers, like you just will not see them in physical hand much longer anymore. Like they will get vaulted away. They will be one of those assets that 10 years later it just comes out of nowhere, and I'm hoping that it'll be in at least 6 figures, and we will be able to say like, yeah, like we knew that was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I told my friend, we were talking about like, hey, what can we invest in way back when, right? And I was like, hey, I'm waiting for tops to come out with this set. And he's like, what? And it's like, yeah, Formula One, whatever, right? But and it happened, right? And and the craziest, like you said, the craziest part about it is this is like the one set, and there's other sets, but the gap is gonna widen, and cars are gonna disappear and whatnot. And I'll be honest, like I don't know how much money I got left to go buy any 2021. So guys, have a fun time. I'm just gonna cherry pick what I want, and I'm gonna be happy. But you know what the crazy part too going that I can see kind of helps to drive the market going forward, right? Is 2022, the season, they come in with all brand new cars, all brand new re-engineered cars that are, from some drivers saying, well, maybe they're playing and saying, well, it's tough to drive or whatever. But there's a good opportunity that maybe the guys that we expect aren't going to be at the top. I mean, the cars could just suck. I mean, you look at Ferrari; they went through a bad couple of seasons, and they were just, oh my god, Ferrari, right? But nobody can deny that Charles Leclerc is like one of your top 5 drivers out there, right?
100%.
So if they put him in the right car, he's gonna win. 2022 comes around, maybe the car ain't right, or maybe Ferrari gets it right, and we forget about Max Verstappen for a second. So it's almost like you also do want to look at this as I should buy a little of each just in case somebody comes up with that 80% better car.
Yeah,
that can
that's
do
all it takes. That's all it takes.
So I think there's a ray of hope for anybody collecting, is that the guy next year might not be the guy this year, and Hamilton.
Anyone's game at that point, right? Which, like Hamilton, right? Like, let's say hypothetically, Mercedes comes back out next year, and they're like, "Oh my god, what kind of crap car are they driving?" Right? Like, what were they smoking when they were making that engine? Like, even if that's the case, Hamilton is kind of like, I consider him as, he doesn't need to prove anything more. Yeah, another win would be nice, but he has already done like what nobody else has done. So he's like, he will be goated. Like, even if he retires next year or whatever, he's goated. So that's like the safer route. Max, on the other hand, like, he's an amazing driver. Like, I don't think anyone like argues with that. But it's like, if Red Bull like actually is not the top car next year, he hasn't had a championship yet. Maybe this year, like, he may be just P5, P6, like all the way around in the year, and you're gonna start to think like, oh, like maybe he's not gonna be a champion. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it just, I mean, I know you can talk to some of the other guys, and the other guys would say it's like it comes down to engineering, right? And Mercedes, Ferrari, a lot of Red Bull, they've proven their engineering, right? Mm-hmm. So you expect them to kind of be at the top, right? Because they figured out ways to make the car fast as humanly possible. And you got to think that they're going to be there to be at the at the start of next season. But you got McLaren that's been trending up, and different management and all other things. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I mean, it could be definitely a different season next year. I mean, I'd love to see Hamilton win an 8th. I mean, that'd be cool, because then that'd be better than Schumacher. But if you look towards the future, right? If you look towards the future, the drivers are getting younger and younger, and they're more talented and talented. Mm-hmm. You got Hamilton. He's in his like mid to late 30s already. So you're talking, if a Lando or a Verstappen or a Leclerc or a Russell, I mean, there's 4 or 5. These guys are like legit world champion competitors for the next 10 years. 5 guys fighting over each other. It's like, before, like, I mean, like for instance, Fernando Alonso, right? I was looking his stuff up. I was like, dude, the guy could have won 5 or 6 championships. He was second like twice or something like that, and third place like twice. So I mean, so close, right? And you're talking the points at the top was really, really tiny, right? For them to, I mean, I think he ended up in second, like in third place the year Kimi won, and it was a matter of just them finishing the last race, right? I mean, So I mean, so it's crazy how this thing can be, and if you really start getting into it and you start really looking at, wow, I mean, there's so much potential,
opportunity for sure.
And it's almost NFL where you get a week of, well, there's good things and bad things. Like, I like baseball because every day sometimes
there's action.
I mean, a guy could go out for 4 home runs, and you can be like, oh, I can finally dump that card for like, oh, finally, just to make my money back, right? But with the NFL or with F1. You do have that week of rest, so you're like, oh, okay, I need to get this card before Saturday, because if I don't and he wins, it's going to be unobtainable.
Right.
He don't win, right? And to a certain extent, I like with the Lando, right? I was super sad that he didn't win that race. I was like gutted. I was like,
if he did, his card would have gone to unobtainable for sure.
And then on top of that, then I wouldn't be able to buy anything of his, right? Mm-hmm. So, there's a time and place. Like you said, we need a dip, or we need some type of correction, or some type of break, so that we can kind of like, okay, yeah, let's get some cards on the market.
Right, separate break, But yeah, no, I mean, this has been super, super fun, Chad. Like, I wish we can do this more often, to be honest, like make it more regular, kind of check in here and there, around F1, sports cards. just, I mean, I think next year is just going to be insane with like so many things up in the air, not knowing who's really going to be in the forefront of championship running. So hopefully we can have you back and you can make some more time for us.
Absolutely, I totally enjoyed this. I mean, it's something that I'm passionate about. I mean, like literally, I'm watching races as I make pancakes for my kids because in Hawaii the races are at 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
You're
I'm
right.
almost 40, right? I'm like seriously can't be up till 2 o'clock in the morning to go watch a race for another 3 hours and go to sleep at 4. I mean, it's
I
just
thought we had it bad. We're watching it at 6 a.m. and I'm like we were waking up earlier on weekends now than weekdays because of that.
yeah. I mean, I just gotta like turn my phone off and just be like,
Mhm.
okay, I can't touch. Well, I guess if anything good comes on eBay, I ain't getting it today. Um, but I mean, the only races that I had a chance maybe would be like Suzuka or Singapore, where it's in the east, and
Yeah,
I might be in front of it, but yeah, I mean, it's it's a commitment, and we definitely like I enjoy it. I mean, I'm trying to get my other half to enjoy it, but she doesn't as much. But I mean, it'll get there,
we'll
and
get there for
this
sure,
this
for
is
sure.
a this is a great. I mean, if anything, if you can't collect the cards, I would just say my recommendation
Watch
is go
watch the
watch this. Go watch Drive. I mean, Drive to Survive is like it's like Hard Knocks
It's
with
crazy.
10 people that you can fall in love with every single day. I mean, it's
Yeah,
interesting. So
pretty cool.
so yeah, but that's I appreciate it. And anytime you want to have me back, hey, just let me know. I'll try to make the time. Definitely.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Chad. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. If you have any questions about F1, direct them to Chad. I'll leave his Instagram handle below. He is my teacher. I'm the student. So yeah, thanks guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Thank you.